Hi everyone, just wanted to follow up from our last video on OKRs because a bunch of you had some great questions and I wanted to show a few more tips and tricks on how we run OKRs at Go Squared using Notion. Now, quite a few of you wanted me to go into a bit more detail on how we use OKR cards in other documents and other meetings within Notion. So I just want to talk through how we use those linked databases and all the benefits of linked databases and the OKR format in other documents inside of Notion. So let's have a look.
A critical thing with each OKR is to ensure you have a few properties that help you filter on them. So every OKR we set has an owner. Now, having one owner is really important. You ideally want to have one owner, no more, no less, to ensure accountability. And also having a department for each OKR can really help with filtering and segmentation. So the owner, you can set that as a person property in Notion, and then the department, I'd probably recommend using a select, so you can pick one department and you can have however the department's laid out within your company. Using templates for meetings is a really huge time saver and helps make a lot of things run a lot more efficiently. So we have a template that we have created for one-on-one specifically among other meetings. So I'll just show you how that works right now. So if we go into our meetings area and we create a new template, we'll call it one. And we won't fill any of these details in just yet, but let's say we have a typical meeting format like agenda, notes, outcomes. What we might also want to do in those one-on-ones is review OKRs. So review OKRs could be a headline that we have in our meeting, one-on-one meeting template. And in here, what we can do is use our linked database to ensure we bring up OKRs whenever we're next having a meeting. So let's get OKRs in there. And then what we'll do here is just create that gallery view again. So gallery, and just to avoid any confusion, we'll delete that table view on here. And then we'll also make sure we get the cards looking right, so we'll do page cover, and we'll maybe make the card size small, and then we'll also add a couple of these properties in, and then we have our OKRs in here. But what we can also do, and we can use the filtering options, so we can say add a filter, and while we won't do this right now in the template, what we can then do whenever we're using the template is specify who we're having that catch up with. So we quickly put our one-on-one template, and then let's say I'm having that one-on-one with someone today. I'll do add an item. I'll have one with Jessica, and then I'll use the template one-on-one. We can then just say owner contains, and I wish I'd created a Jessica, but I'll just do it with myself. There we go, and there we go. And then we can do that for every one-on-one we're having.
Another issue a lot of people have been running into is when they're setting up OKR cards in Notion for their team, sometimes team members will put in different properties or different key results, and this can sometimes mess up the structure and format for other members of the team and for everyone else's OKR cards. So I just want to walk you through how you use database locks to avoid that problem.
It can be really easy to mess up database properties in Notion. Each individual on the team might have various reasons for putting new properties in, whether it's one more key result or accidentally dragging another document into the database, creating more properties that have been carried over from the other database. To avoid that, what I would recommend doing is using database locks. And it's not the easiest feature to discover, but when you're in the OKRs view, hitting database lock will ensure that no one can create any properties by accident. You can still create new OKR cards, but when you go into it, you'll see that there's no option to add new properties or even rename properties or change them. That's not locked forever though. You can always go back, unlock the page, do whatever you need, and then reload it again.
Now, a really important part of the OKR process is to also reflect and learn once you've done an OKR cycle. And quite a few of you were asking how to apply that in Notion using the formats we talked about in the last video. Thankfully, we actually have a process that we've been iterating on over several quarters, and we feel like we've got to a good place with it. So I just wanted to walk through the process we have for doing retros on OKRs in Notion.
We're always trying to make sure that OKRs and what we learn from OKRs stays fresh. So we've created a lessons database which can be filtered just like we're looking at with all of the other OKR stuff. So you keep things always front of mind. So you can have a personal homepage in Notion and remind yourself of the lessons you've learned in previous OKR cycles. So like this one. So we've got a lessons database, and in that lessons database we've got the names of lessons that you might have learned. And we've also got different types of lessons, like what didn't go well, what did I learn, and what did go well, and who created them, the time they were created, all of this, like standard Notion properties. But what's great is we want to tie these to OKRs. So if we go back to home and our OKRs, again, templates come in really handy here. So rather than just creating a Notion OKR card, we can use our template. Rather than having this blank space down here, we can actually make a ton of use of the space we've got. We've loaded in a bunch of helpful stuff to make the whole OKR process better for a team. So we've got background on the OKR to just give you a bit more space to explain your thinking for why this OKR is important. But then we've got a retro area, so you can say what went well, what didn't go so well, and what did we learn. And rather than that all just being plain text in the OKR card, it's all going into that database, which can be used for later. So we can say, and if we just open that a sec, we'll see it's actually related to our OKR card. And we've used a relation connection in OKR to make sure that this lesson is linked to the OKR card. So whenever we're looking at the OKR itself, it will show you the lessons it's related to, just as when we look at the lesson, it will show you which OKR it's related to. So it's a really nice way to make sure that the retro process with OKRs is relevant and stays with you and each team member as time goes on, so you can keep learning and improving.
A few people also had questions about color coding and formatting of key results in the structure I outlined in the last video. So I just wanted to walk through how we think about the structure of key results in OKR cards right now in Notion.
Now this is one of the weaker areas where Notion is suitable for OKRs, but it's still possible. You want to ideally show at a high level which key results are on track, in progress, or behind. So you can quickly check in and call out things that need attention. So what we always try and do is have just a simple color coding system. Green for being on track, some sort of orange color for something that's in progress, and then we use red for a key result that is behind. We also make sure that the text is bold, and then the rest of the key result can be in just normal text. Now sometimes you also want to have a metric, so something like, what we generally do is keep all of that bold so the number is there, but then just keep that red. And then there we go. You've got your color coding system, and as long as everyone sticks to that, it should be really, really clear what's on track and what needs attention.
So there's just a few more tips on how to take your OKRs to the next level with Notion. Hope it's been helpful, and if you've liked this video, please do subscribe for more. It really helps, and hopefully we'll have lots more useful content coming up soon. Cheers.